Today, I would like to talk about motor vehicle accident and psychological injury. My name is Alexander. I'm a psychologist by training. Now, if you were involved in a motor vehicle accident, chances are pretty good that you suffered two kinds of injury. One is physical and the other is psychological. Now, when it comes to physical injury, we pretty much know what comprises a physical injury, but the concept of psychological injury is sort of shrouded in some mystery, and my goal today is to try and demystify the concept of psychological injury. But before I do that, let me just say this. If you've been involved in a motor vehicle accident and you were injured, you deserve treatment. You are entitled to treatment for those injuries that you have suffered. And that applies to both physical injury as well as psychological injury. And the cost of that treatment is generally covered by a segment of the insurance coverage called Section B, so that the person who's injured does not have to himself or herself pay for the treatment out of their own pocket. So let's talk about psychological injury. Psychological injury is a bit of a hidden phenomenon, but after a person has had a motor vehicle accident, there are certain symptoms, certain signs that emerge that tell us that the person has suffered some lasting consequences to their psychological emotional side after the accident. So some of the symptoms that we typically see are, for example, the person is experiencing what we call flashbacks after the accident, where they're seeing certain scenes of the accident again and again, or they're hearing certain sounds, or certain sounds are stuck in their minds. For example, the crunch when the vehicles collided. So if a person is experiencing flashbacks, that's generally suggestive of the fact that a person has sustained a psychological insult. And then there are other symptoms as well. A person has a heightened fear of having another accident, another motor vehicle accident. Or a person is driving, but they're driving with a really amplified, heightened sense of anxiety. And on top of that, there may be mood disturbance where they're depressed or really upset, or they're irritable, short-tempered, reactive after the accident. They are having difficulty sleeping. So collectively, these symptoms suggest that the person has experienced a psychological injury in the motor vehicle accident that needs to be treated, just like the physical injuries require treatment. Unfortunately, often what happens is that people are referred for treatment for physical injuries, but when it comes to treatment for psychological injuries, there's virtually nothing. And that's really unfortunate, because if a person is driving a motor vehicle with these symptoms that they're experiencing, their likelihood of having another accident goes up as a consequence of that. And not only that, but the quality of their life has deteriorated very significantly because of the psychological consequences of the motor vehicle accident. So, who would treat a psychological injury? Well, it would be a psychologist, for example, who specializes in the treatment of psychological injuries resulting from a motor vehicle accident. Someone who specializes in post-traumatic stress disorder, trauma, motor vehicle related anxiety, depression, stress, so that cluster of symptoms. How would you go about accessing this treatment? Well, you could have your physician refer you to a psychologist who specializes in the treatment of psychological injuries sustained in a motor vehicle accident. Or if you have a legal representative, a lawyer, for example, your lawyer could also refer you to such a psychologist. And as I was mentioning earlier, generally the cost of this treatment is covered by a segment of the insurance coverage called Section B. So I hope this video has been of some help to you. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them and I will try and get back to you. In the meantime, good luck and take care.